speaking of hometown, Regis Prograis just fought in his hometown, and he actually described it as a hometown disadvantage, right? He said just based on the amount of things he had to do that he wouldn't normally do, everyone calling him for tickets and, just trying to take time to see all the locals, whether family, friends. He said it was just usually he would just stay in the hotel room until the fight, but doing all these things. And he said he actually was nervous. He said he had hometown jitters. He said at first he said he felt fine, but he said when it came to the weigh-in, he felt nervous. And then when he went out there, he felt nervous. And we just saw Canelo Alvarez in Guadalajara, and some people think it wasn't his most impressive performance, right? Could have been hometown jitters as well. So do you think that played a factor in the Regis Prograis fight? And do you think after that fight, more people will be willing to jump in there with him?
Yes, to both questions. And he's even admitted it. There's a lot of pressure, like he mentioned, when you're fighting hometown to like perform, at a high level, right? Be an excellent fighter, don't show no kinks in the armor. And I think he kind of, and it showed in his performance. And then what I love about Regis is his honesty, right? Because he mentioned, he had a hard time trying to cut the ring off, which clearly he wasn't cutting the ring off, right? And more importantly, he admitted that, he did get knocked down, right? Which was obvious. And then afterwards, he knocked Zorilla down as well. But the game plan, he thought the guy was just going to come and fight, and it didn't turn out to be that case. Also, you got to think about the preparation, right? When you're preparing for like an orthodox fighter, and then now you get a southpaw, and then it just changes the whole dynamics of what you prepared for. That's why he mentioned you just got to go back to the drawing board and just figure things out and go from there. Now, in terms for the second question, yeah, it's going to be a bunch of fighters. Oh man, if he performs like that against me, I can beat him. Right? It's just one of those type of situations. And you've seen Devin Haney kind of jump to task where I think he got on FaceTime and actually, said he want that fight next. So
yeah. So all right. First of all, Devin Haney fight Shakur Stevenson. But yeah, I could see Devin trying to take that fight, and I would respect it because it's gonna be a hard fight. But I do want to see Devin fight Shakur Stevenson. But for the Regis Prograis thing, I think people are gonna be mistaken, if they're running and jumping to take that fight. I still think he's a real threat. I do think he had an off night. I would want to see him versus Tio. Actually, I know he said he's not interested in Rolly, but I would like to see him collect that belt as well. I would like to see him in Tio, but I'm actually buying more into the Tio retirement thing. I do think he'll come out of retirement, but I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be a year or 2 years. I saw Mikey Garcia recently talking, a rare Mikey Garcia sighting, and he was talking, and he was like, "Oh, that money really gets broken down." He's like, "So if you get like a mil," he said, "maybe like 300K has to go to your team." Then he said, then like 40% of
are
it
we
to
including
taxes.
taxes?
No,
Yo,
that was before the tax. And then he said like
okay.
40% in taxes. So he was
Right.
like, yo, at the end of it, end of that mill, he's like, you could have probably like 300K to yourself. And I think Tio said he just got paid a mill. So imagine that getting broken down and he only probably coming away with 300K. You know what I'm saying? And imagine this is what's been happening to him for years. So I
And then
see
he's
the
having a
financial
legal battle right
frustration.
now. So
Yeah.
that money gone.
I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Right. So I see the financial frustration. So he might really be off the board for a while, which would be interesting because that would kind of leave a title up for grabs. Perhaps we see like a Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia fight for the vacant belt, something like that. But I do think guys are going to want to step to Regis now. And I actually think maybe the next guy is going to get humbled. I think Regis is going to have a big bounce back. Might stop the next guy he fights. And then people are like, whoa, wait a minute. Because it just starting to seem like in boxing, most people are due for a bad night. I'm not going to say everyone, but it's starting to seem like most people are due for a bad night.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're just gonna have one of those. You just gotta pray that one of those bad nights isn't against an opponent or adversary that came correct that night, right? So it's I'm not really too worried about it. And like you said, I think Reach is gonna bounce back.
Yeah.
So
And I also think if you have like a bad night against someone who they consider as lesser competition, more people are going to look at it like you lost because they think you didn't meet expectation. But if you say you have like a bad night against serious comp and then the fight is real close, I think people may look at that a little bit differently. So let's say he gets in there with Haney, and the fight is dead close, but maybe let's say he looked the exact way he looked in this fight, and Haney looks however he looks, but it's a very close fight. I think people are going to give him less flack for that than they do against Zorilla because they expect him to blow Zorilla out.
Absolutely.
So I just think his next fight is going to look really different. And like you said, Regis just seems like a genuine guy. He seems like he's very aware. So I'm expecting a big bounce back performance from Regis.
I agree 100%, and I can't wait to see him come back with a vengeance and really show what he's really capable of.